Shruti here. I am super excited to launch Women of Community. Despite the fact that women of color are often celebrated as the most effective and powerful agents of change in public health, we don't often see them on stages and being elevated to senior leadership positions and on boards. Not to mention, women of color face a wider, more stubborn pay gap. So, in an effort to elevate the voices of ordinary yet extraordinary women of color working for the health of their communities, I am launching WOC, Women of Community. The first episode is focused on the incredible Solome Tibebu. Solome has been an advocate for mental health and wellness and teen anxiety since she was a teen and suffering from anxiety herself. Solome is the host and founder of Going Digital Behavioral Health Tech, the co-author for ReThink Behavioral Health Innovation, and the fund director for Upswing Fund, which is seated by Melinda Gates' personal office. In addition to all of that, she is also on the board of several for-profit and not-for-profit behavioral health companies. Without much further ado, let's bring up Solome now for our conversation. Solome, I'm so excited to interview. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So I've known you for a few years, and ever since I've known you, you've had at least, and I'm not exaggerating here, I'm probably underestimating if anything, but you've had at least 5 jobs at any given time. And your focus is mental health, transforming mental health, creating access, equity, reducing stigma. Tell us more about your work. Who are the communities that you support and how do you support them?
Yeah, sure. As you've mentioned, Shruti, I've always been involved in behavioral health in some way, starting with my own anxiety as an anxious teenager. So I struggled a lot with panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorder. Eventually, throughout some fits and starts, got the help that I needed. I recognized that there wasn't really a community for other teens like myself. So in 2006, I started anxietyandteens.org, an online community for teens by teens. In college, I started a mental health tech startup that was focused on different online CBT exercises for patients and analytics for providers. So the communities that I work with today, I've been the co-author of the ReThink Behavioral Health Innovation newsletter with Dr. Steve Ramsland for several years now, which is mostly for health plans, health systems, behavioral health entrepreneurs, and enthusiasts. And then I went on to start the Going Digital Behavioral Health Tech Summit, which again, similar audience with the goal of advancing behavioral health access and innovation through technology. And more recently, I'm focused on youth, particularly underserved youth, LGBTQ adolescents, and adolescents of color through the Upswing Fund for Adolescent Mental Health. And the Upswing Fund is a philanthropic fund that is seated by Melinda Gates' personal office and investment and incubation arm, Pivotal Ventures. We launched earlier in the fall and have already been hitting the ground running with our grant making to both audiences.
You're such an impressive human. And I just want to repeat something you said because you said it very, very casually. But one of your current roles is you are the fund director for Upswing Fund, which is backed by Melinda Gates' personal office. That's pretty next level to get that sort of gig. But you are somebody who is known in the field, somebody who has passion for this. You have drive. You have so many amazing attributes that have made you successful. But despite that, this is a journey. There have been a lot of scary moments, and you've had to really take a risk and take a leap. Can you tell us a bit more about some of the times where you're really doubting whether you should move forward? What was it that helped you persevere?
It's interesting you said something about, scary moments along the way, but ultimately overcoming. And I guess I need to be very clear that definitely have not overcome. This is a regular practice of managing my anxiety, even up until today. But that being said, to mediate those things, what I have done well at a young age is connecting with others who are passionate about this topic, frequently have more experience in whatever path I'm trying to pursue. And thankfully, there have been so many amazing people who have offered such great will along the way. Family members and others in the community back in Minneapolis who helped me get my website up and running as a teen, to launching my first startup, which could have been anyone from the local entrepreneurs who helped guide me, my initial seed fund investors, the different providers that were willing to take a risk with me and my small team. I've launched a lot of new things, and I think that's oftentimes a stressful, scary period. Even earlier this year, there were still a lot of live conferences going to be hosted. Then I got to thinking, especially this year, mental health is going to be a major theme. What if we just launched our own virtual conference, which, now, this far into the year, that's the norm. But at the time, a lot of the questions were, are healthcare people even interested in doing virtual? But ultimately, the Going Digital Behavioral Health Tech Summit, which was one of the first virtual healthcare conferences in the year, it was a major success. We had 2,500 people register, 75 speakers, 40 sponsors. But I really think it went so well because the entire community showed up there. And initiatives like this can't be successful unless we got the sponsorship dollars that we did, which we ultimately were able to donate all of our proceeds to the National Council for Behavioral Health's COVID Response Fund. But it really takes more than just an idea and a desire to make it happen. We got to find other stakeholders who are willing to invest in ideas like the one I had, or really ideas that women of color have. This is about people with resources looking out for these unique opportunities to invest in their businesses, to support their work. There's been a lot of emphasis and focus and at least media attention around amazing work that people of color are doing. But at the end of the day, allies really need to be sure that they're actually funding the underserved communities that they're showcasing.
All right, Solome, let's name some names now. Women of Community is all about celebrating and elevating the voices of women of color who are doing extraordinary work for the health of their communities. You certainly fall into that category, but I want to know, who are other women of color in your world that you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. So many good people. Definitely some amazing women of color on my Upswing Fund advisory committee, including Dr. Alfie Breland Noble, Dr. Angela Diaz, Dr. Kimberly Leary. Have really appreciated their insights and experience as we develop our portfolio of adolescent mental health grantees. At the same time, it's been such a delight to work with women like Catherine Cooper and Dr. Ivor Horn through the work that we did with the California Healthcare Foundation. And yeah, I just need a lot more time to listen more.
For folks that are watching, if you would like to learn more about these incredible women that Solome just gave a shout out to, check out the comments below and you can check out their profiles. So, Solome, last question. So, there are a lot of allies watching this who want to support women of community and support you as a woman of community. What is one actionable thing that they can do to help accelerate your work?
Thanks for asking, Shruti. Certainly, there are some things that listeners could do. Definitely sign up for the newsletters that I mentioned earlier. But really, my hope is, especially for the year that it has been, folks who might be struggling or have dealt with mental health issues before, we need to hear your stories. My hope is that people who are watching and listening will be more comfortable with talking about their struggles this year.
Yeah, for folks that are watching, you can check out the comments for the link to sign up for Solome's newsletter. Please do support her. Her newsletter is incredible. The work that you're doing is amazing. Thanks, Solome.
Thanks so much for having me.